Plenty of room in the family, room for the young and the old. Plenty of happiness, plenty of love, plenty of room in the fold. Plenty of room in the family, room for the young and the old. Plenty of happiness, plenty of love, plenty of room in the fold. I'm so glad I'm a part of the family of God. I've been washed in the fountain, cleansed by His blood. Join heirs with Jesus as we travel this side. For I'm part of the family of God.
You will notice we say brother and sister around here. Well, it's because we're a family, guys, and these folks are so dear. When one has a party, we all shed a tear and rejoice in His victory in this family so dear. Everyone,
I'm so glad I'm a part of the family of God. I've been washed in the fountain, cleansed by His blood. Join heirs with Jesus as we travel this side. For I'm part of the family of
There's no need of standing up for the right unless you're gonna stand up against the wrong. Tell me how you gonna ever stop being weak unless you make your mind up to be strong. Well, you got to do right, 'cause it won't be long. It won't be long.
Bow, 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 bow.
Well, let me tell you that it's easy to hate your enemies, and it's just as easy to love your friends. They tell me you will have to love alike. The Bible tells you you got to let the love of God come in. Well, you got to do right, 'cause it won't be long. It won't be long. Don't you wanna love Him better? Don't you wanna love Him more? Can't you hear the Savior knocking? He's a knocking at your door.
Well, don't you wanna be?
Haste to meet your Maker before you got to deal with the Undertaker. He will take you right now if you are willing. Don't you know the Bible is fulfilling? Well, you got to do right, 'cause it won't be long. It won't be long. You got to do right, 'cause it won't be long. It won't be long.
You gotta do right, whoa, ho, live the life. You got to do right, whoa, ho, live the life.
You got to do right, oh, oh, live the life. You got to do right, oh, oh, live the life. You got to do right, oh, oh, live the life. You got to do right, right. Don't you wanna love him better? Don't you wanna love him more? Can't you hear the Savior knocking? He's a knocking at your door.
Don't you wanna move?
Things to meet your maker before you got to deal with the undertaker. He will take you right now if you are willing. Don't you know the Bible is fulfilled? Well, you got to do. Cause it won't be long. It won't be long. You got to do right. Well, it won't be long. It won't be long.
You gotta do right, whoa, ho, live the life. You got to do right, whoa, ho, live the life.
You got to do right. Oh, live the life. Well, you got to do right. Oh, live the life. You got to do right. Oh, live the life. You got to do right.
Let's sing this song together, side by side. Join hands together.
Side by side we stand, waiting God's command, worshiping the saving King, living by His grace. And moving out in faith, Jesus will see us through.
Meet me in heaven.
Good morning once again. It is now 10:29. You know, in Africa, we usually say that time is prophetic, but we want to work with the real time. It's 10:29, and those who are still outside, please come in so that we may begin. We've had two wonderful presentations so far. We are just about to have the next two ones, and I believe that it will be interesting as well. We are being rekindled to the old missionary spirit. Our next presenter is Dr. Adelowo Adetunji. Dr. Adelowo is an ordained minister of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Nigeria. He is also a professor of comparative religion that includes Christianity, Islam, and African traditional religion. He has several publications in reputable journals. I will invite Dr. Adelowo to come to the pulpit and share with us what he has in his mind. Please, welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, all. Well, I thank God for the privilege to be here. I'll just go straight so that we can move as fast as possible. The title, 150 Years of Adventist Mission in Africa, the Challenges and Prospects in WAD's Accounts. Well, WAD is one of the 13 World Divisions that we have in the General Conference. It has gone through a lot of reorganization before finally in 2003, that name WAD, really came up. Oh, that's the picture you have there. There's echo from somewhere. Was it disconnected? It was not showing. Before I came in.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the title there. Then it was one of the 13 divisions that we have. It has gone through a lot of the organization before finally in 2003 came up with the name WAD, West Central African Division. We have countries that are under this, this division. And then our leaders from there. Can I share with us the Ellen White's burden for foreign and home mission? And saying here, say no time for delay. Time is short. We need workers are needed everywhere. That there should be where there's one here that's, or maybe where there should be hundreds, we have only one. And there's urgent need for dedicated workers. And the calls are coming from everywhere, from all the directions, from those who are interested in reading a publication, and saying that people are calling that ministers should be sent. Many are even satisfied to have the paper, maybe like a tracts, if they could not have the living preachers as presented each year. So you can see the desire. Talking about our literatures as silent messengers, it says one of the church outreach method to reach other lands since 1850s through biblical literature. The available ministers at home say they are overworked, underpaid, and inadequate, even to meet the needs that they have at home. So you can see how she was just yearning that things should move faster than how it was. So at the time, captains of ships are paid so that they go along with tracts as they move along the coast of West Africa to drop them. And that really happened from time to time. And I have it here that George Drew was one of those who practiced that. Here you have Anna Moore in West Africa. And I say a stranger with a strange message. This woman belongs to another Christian body, another Christian denomination, but he was serving, I think he was serving in Sierra Leone. He went for a holiday, and S.N. Haskell gave him a copy of one of the books written by J.N. Andrew on the history of Sabbath. This woman went through, and she was convinced of the Sabbath. And she started sharing what she believed. So returned back to Liberia. She left from Sierra Leone, but moved back to Liberia, and was, sharing what she had. As you will also agree with me, the expectation is that the church that employed her will not allow to continue. So she was relieved of her assignments, but that did not really discourage her, because I told her by the time she was even writing in the Review and Herald in January 2, 1864, she has converted another person. And before she left, she dropped these literatures, these tracts, in some of the stations of her colleagues all around before she left. So you see it here that she started the work like someone put it, that's the time that even the Adventist message has not gotten to some land, but we had it in Africa. The writer of the book, Maxwell, tell it to the world. Says just like as the baby Jesus was brought to Africa before he was taken to Europe. It's the same way. We had the message here, even before it got to some other parts of the world. But then White was saying here that, yes, this literature can do a lot and really achieve a lot for us as a church. As you see, that's one of the trends I discovered, that in most places, we make use of our publications. But Ellen White says, yes, there will also be need for the living preachers to walk along with with whatever that is achieved through the literature. Now, in 1892, the General Conference decided to send Elder Lawrence Chadwick to come and survey the West Africa sub-region, the possibility of beginning the work there. And he came to Accra, Gold Coast. By the time he got there, he was received by Francis I.U. Dauphin, by some people. We had some people already with him, and they welcomed him. While he was there in Sierra Leone, there was also another man, Coker, with his own group, also waiting for him. And in Liberia, we have Gustin, also waiting for him. You agree with me that he was coming to check, was not even coming as a missionary to begin to preach. But there are about 3 groups already waiting for him. The question is, how do they get this message? It was through this literature, tracts that are sent. Verse 1 concluded, said, only God could say how far the message went. Because since the captains were paid at will as they travel along the coast, they drop, from time to time, from one place to another. Then he went back and gave the reports. We believe that the reports given was positive. And therefore, the first group of official missionaries was sent to Gold Coast, that was Ghana. And we have K.G. Rudolph and E.L. Stanford. You know, they came and they stayed there just to preach, but things were not really easy for them. And on October 3, 1895, another group also was sent. We have D.U. Hale and G.P. Riggs. Hale was the leader of the group. Riggs was one of them. He was a literature evangelist. And we have George Kerr and his wife, who are nurses. So if you look at the trend now, a group that we, that came, you have a preacher, you have a literature evangelist, and you also have the one that can engage in medical missionaries. And that has been the trend. Now, the leader here, Hale, wrote in Review and Herald, trying to give testimonies of the way the Lord has been with them. Say our health, generally speaking, has been very good since 1st of February. Brakel has had almost perfect health, but Sister Kerr was sick quite a while. It has been 62 days since I have had any malaria fever. I attribute this to the divine grace. And so it was giving the testimony of the way God was really taking care of them in the midst, in a strange land, and, on and on like that. So we often think that's just so wonderful for 5 white men to be together for such a long period, and none of them really was struck down by death. It was like a miracle. So how wonderful is that? When we remember that last year there were 38 deaths out of 40 white people in Cape Coast. 38 out of 40. And here they were, about 5 of them, they were healthy and healthy, everything was okay with them. So they were just looking at it that way. But it's as if his testimony invited strategies. There are a lot of things that are coming. On July 4, 1896, little William Kerr, their child that they came with, died of dysentery. 4 months later, you have another child of the same family, also died. July 1896, Elder Hale himself suffered an attack of the black water fever. Because he survived, so the local people, they look at him like Lazarus that was raised back from death. Because they wonder how you survived this. So he was moving around, the people, come and see, that man, things like that. It was just so wonderful. So Rick had dysentery. He was hospitalized in Liverpool and died again. Another one died. January 8th, 1897. Mr. Sonvide, also the Wesleyan white man, also along the coast, had the same, like what he did and what happened to him, and he also died. George and Eva Kerr sailed. They moved to Liverpool, maybe because of the incessant attack. But they also suffered that this black water attack. So Hale also has to sail to England on June 3, 1897. He recovered and returned, but she was forced to go back because of the sickness. So that was when Babcock was asked to come, and then he replaced Hale in 1905. He came with his third wife and their children. Coming with the third wife, that was to tell you a story. Definitely he did not marry 3 at a time. So it means he has lost 2 wives, but not tired, got another one, and he came to Africa. He came to Africa again. So in 1908, 2 new missionaries, Thomas and Catherine French, were also sent to join Babcock. Both of them were teachers, and they were working in Freetown, in the missionary, to train missionaries. Late in 1910, they were transferred to Haxim, another one of these places in Ghana where the church is also coming up. But has continued that way. When you read ahead, you will see again that the wife, Catherine, also died. And it was, so C.F.E. Thompson and his wife, they replaced Catherine and the wife in Haxim, and they continued that way. Thompson and his wife, they thought these are Jamaican because they are black race. They thought they would have resistance to this terrible disease that is claiming, their life. Unfortunately, Thompson also died. So they say it was not only a teacher, but also an evangelist. That's in a program in Haxim, he won 30 souls, at a time. No wonder. When one of the General Conference presidents called West African Coast the white man's grave, because many of them really died. Many of them really died. But they didn't give up. The missionaries still, determined to go, irrespective of what was really happening. They decided to continue. W.H. Lewis and another one here were told, also decided to come to Gold Coast. Why David Babcock took the message to Western Nigeria, and J.C. Clifford also took the message to Eastern Nigeria, and J.J. Hyde to Northern Nigeria. So they didn't give up, in spite of all that was really happening to them. Now, Maxwell, the writer of the book Tell It to the World, said, to tell the story of Adventism in each new country, and I want to say in each union in world, will literally require many volumes, because everywhere you have somebody that's as important as Joseph Bates. So it means it is not practically possible within this period given to cover all the 10 unions that I have in Word. But I'll just pick some of them. Adventism in Ghana, like what we said the other time, this method of giving tracts to ship captains to drop all along also worked miracle in Ghana, because a tract that was dropped, Francis Dauphin picked one of such tracts and he read it and was convinced of the Sabbath. You remember, like what I said the other time, by the time the the missionary that was sent by GC to come and survey came, he gathered some people already around with him that he welcomed that man. On 3rd of October in 1895, Cape Coast became the official headquarters of the church in West Africa. But I just want to say concerning maybe something went wrong. It's okay. ICT, will you? I think something is not moving on well. It's okay. Thank God it's back. So Dolphin was believed to pick some of this tract, and then he studied and was convinced about the Sabbath. And he started, preaching. But along with that, the history of how Adventism got to Ghana was really becoming, I don't know whether I say controversial, because there was another one, William Dawson of Faith Church. That thing is not responding. Maybe I'll continue. It's okay. Dawson. So now we have Dolphin. We have Dawson. So the common and the official record that we have was that it was Dolphin that introduced Adventism to Ghana through the tracts. But there's another version of the Dawson of Fete that is also mentioned there. That this one there are two versions concerning his own encounter with Adventism. Some are saying that, Pastor Babala said he schooled in Waterloo, in Sierra Leone, and that was where he came across Adventism. But his people, and that was also corroborated when I visited the place in 2018, they believed that he was a slave. He was bought as a slave. But because he was like he had a light skin, the slave master, instead of treating him like a slave, they decided to train him in business. And therefore, he was not treated as a slave. So you engage in business, running from US to, Ghana and other parts of the. So he got the message, and then he brought it home to his own place called Fete there. He started preaching there. In fact, some believe that it was that he also helped Dolphin in understanding the message. At the time, he moved from Fete and bought another piece of land, where he built his own. He built a church. I will see it here. He built a church, and then now it's not moving as I'm moving. Well, he built a church in another land, just very close to Fete, Mayenda. He bought a land there. He built a church, and when I visited the place, when you see the furniture that you have there, they are just very close to the type that you have in Battle Creek. You know that they were not made here they were not made in Nigeria. So that's also an evidence that he was moving up and down. So he built a church, and then he has a mission house beside that, all along. So some believe that he was the one that brought Adventism to Ghana originally, that even helped Dolphin in understanding the message. Maybe, there's another person here, the Grant that was also mentioned here, that's how that individual also got the message about Adventism. Nobody was sure about when, where, how of his encounter with Adventism. I think it was from that Professor Owusu-Mensah continued and said, well, it will be a waste of energy and efforts to look for the one that brought Adventism to Ghana. One thing we are sure of, Adventism got to Ghana. And I think he said we should be settled with that. So apart from Dolphin and Dawson, we also have another man that's Christian Abraham Aka, was one of those that were converted also early in Ghana. And he moved to his home place, Kikam, and worked vigorously, won many souls, that the church got organized, and some were also maybe the first one to be. When the missionary that came to Ghana baptized 4 individuals at a time, Dolphin, and I think 2 or 3 of his children, making 3 of them, making 3. So the 4th person that was baptized in Ghana was this Akan. So he also worked very vigorously, and a lot of people were converted from the land. That he also took joined hand with others, took the message to northern Ghana, the Ashanti region, and he also found favor of the chief there, who also gave them a land to build a church, and they have an extensive school. I was also opportune to be there. So that was how the message moved around. So, this is not moving at my own pace here. But if you see, there's a picture that was taken, a location where they believe that Dolphin received the tract or picked the tract. There was a monument there of our hands, holding a scroll. I was also opportune to be there. So that's for the Apan church where Dolphin was attending. After some times, we were told that could not really survive very well. But as of the time we went there, they were constructing a very big auditorium for the church, and we had a meeting, and that's in that place. Effort of Sekondi, Ghana. It's another one that his conversion was also, one was not sure how he got converted. But by the time that the missionary was coming, to Ghana, he was one of those that received him in Sekondi, in Ghana. And then together they traveled to Akron, where the church was also flourishing. So these individuals, in one way or the other, they got in contact with the message, and they were really spreading it. I mentioned already that Professor Owusu-Mensah said it will be a waste of effort because no one is even sure who got it first, and brought it to Ghana. Then we moved to the western Nigeria. Now, when Babcock left Sierra Leone, he went to Nigeria. And getting to Nigeria, he stayed a while with the white man who was like in Lagos for some time. And from there, he journeyed northward with train and tried to survey some of the community that are located along the rail line. He went as far as maybe Kaduna and then before returning back. But he finally settled at a place we called Erumu, very close to Ibadan. And there he was received by the chief there. They were happy to have him around, and they really supported him. That he dug a well there. He also started a local school where some of the people were also working with him. When he was going, he went with two individuals, one Ghanaian and then another Sierra Leonean. They were in his team when they went there. So it was from Erumu that they moved to when they are getting established in Erumu, they have a school there, and some of the boys, the young men that went with him, and the one that they were able to work with around the community there. So there are some of them. Exactly, the son of the chief himself, Samuel Oyeniyi Oyeleshe, he was able to speak English bit by bit. He was able to speak Hausa, and then was able to act as interpreter for Babcock. So they moved upward and got to Ilorin. And when he got to Ilorin, he also met the white man there who was in charge of the area, of the province, making the request. That's why he was visiting to establish a church. But as we see in some of the places where they went to, there was this territorial agreement that the colonial master had with the emirs, that they would not intervene with their religion. So when Babcock got to Ilorin and explained his mission to the colonial man there, he said, that would not be allowed. It was rather directed to go to Shao, because Ilorin has not been able to Islamize Shao. They are about 7 miles apart, but they are not able to Islamize Shao. So it's like, say, we have a religion here, but there's a place there. They don't have any religion. Go there. So Babcock went to Shao, and that happened to be my place. And there it was received. And one special thing that that's also happened, that the head of the community and his chief decided to donate, in quotes, a male child each for him to begin his church. So it did not begin by preaching around. Each of them said, this is my own, this is my own. So they gather, and they asked him to begin in the palace. So he started the church in the palace. And, it was a very wonderful reception that they gave to him. So he started the church, and from there, other places, people were inviting him to come to other places. He established a school in Chao that became the training center for some of our church workers. And many from there also learned a lot. So he had that school there, and once in a while also, applying the medical aspects of outreach, to win some people. And it was from there that calls were coming. He moved from there to Ipoti, where, because of the message, some in another denomination they just moved en masse to join Seventh-day Adventist Church. And from there, you have the missionary activity getting extended from time to time. At the time, he went to lay a foundation in Ipoti, June 1917. And, like what a source said, pressure mixed with excitement, broke him down. And he was sick. He also moved to Osogbo, and from Osogbo to Lagos, where his family joined him, and then traveled back to United States of America. And that was how, Mark Clements came to replace him and then to join hand with him. His own activity and then his assignments, the school in Shao suffer a little setback because other parts like Otsun Ekiti are also accepting the faith, and things are getting better that side. And that was how the movement and the activity of Babcock and those that worked around him, really had. Now from there, we'll move to the eastern parts of the country. Like what I was saying, in the case of Ghana, the issue of who brought Adventism to eastern part of Nigeria was also, had some issue. Yes, because we have a man that is called Inaku. Edmund Inaku. There are two versions concerning the case of this man too. One was the fact that President Babalola said he studied in Waterloo. And that was where he came across Adventist faith. But there's also another account that said he was a prisoner in Ghana. And that was where J.J. Hyde met with him. So whether in Ghana or in Waterloo, he came across J.J. Hyde. And after he was set free, or he finished his term of service in Ghana, he returned to his people at Aboa, and there he started preaching the Adventist message. Now, by the time J.J. Hyde was looking for him, he got information that he has returned home. So J.J. Hyde went to Nigeria and located him in Aboa, but already he has few people that are already, worshiping with him. And from there, they united again, and they were happy that they were able to be together. So from there, some people believe that it was Edmund Naku that brought Adventism to eastern Nigeria. Yes, he got the message from J.J. Hyde, but he had started the work before the arrival of J.J. Hyde in Nigeria. But like what they say about Ghana, I think the most important thing was that the work started in the eastern parts of Nigeria. So when J.J. Hyde finally came, he started and then was preaching around that place, Elele and others, very close to Aboa. And he moved to Aba. And in getting to Aba, he tried to locate offices where he would drop tracts. So you can see this sort of tract again coming up. And fortunately, he got some teachers in the government college that we have in Aba. And there, he was able to, dialogue with them, and they accepted the tracts. So from there, they were spreading, also the tracts. He was also preaching, and the tracts were also, going along and then doing the silent work, from time to time. I think one important student that was one who always remember when it comes to his work there was the one we call Philip Onwere. Philip Onwere was one of the students in Aba Government School. He studied one of the tracts and studied the Bible himself and was convinced that the Sabbath was the right one. There was also an elderly man, a lecturer there, that was also called Dede, who also encouraged students, and then he helped them in understanding and giving them the conviction that Sabbath was on Saturday, or Saturday is the Sabbath day of the Lord. So Onwere became maybe a useful hand in the hand, working together with J.J. Hyde. He was the first translator and interpreter, in Igbo land. So he was able to, with him, they were able to reach out to the local people around there. So Onwere and others, they worked together, and the work was also moving on fine. Then Clifford for I've been missing, Clifford was the one for Eastern Nigeria. J.J. Hyde was the one for Northern Nigeria. So J.J. Hyde also moved to Northern Nigeria. I think he also moved from Sierra Leone to Northern Nigeria, and there he started preaching. But he could not start immediately. Like what I said the other time, there is unwritten territorial agreements. Two in his own case. There are two in his own case. The colonial master agreed with the emirs not to tamper with their religion. So any of their colleagues that come from outside, they will not allow them to stay where Islam was already in existence. Then there was another territorial arrangement within the Christians themselves that will avoid conflicts. If you get to a place and one denomination is there already, you should not stay there. You look for another place. So by the time J.J. Hyde got to the north, areas where he was trying to begin his work, he was not allowed because of these two unwritten laws that are already in existence. And that was really what led him to Jengri, where they are like maybe traditionalists. There have never been any Christian missionary there, nor were they Muslims. So he was able to stay there, and he started his work there, himself and his wife. So they started preaching. There was also an outbreak of a disease then. So the wife was also working as a nurse. So as they preached, they also, as much as possible, to reach out to people. It was around that time, too, that those that are working on the translation of Hausa Bible completed it. And that also served as a tool in his hand. So as people are coming to receive treatment, you'll be speaking to them, the little that he understood. He said, if he wanted to use a particular word and he was not sure of, I know that a word like that was used in the Bible, you go to that text, the Hausa Bible, and look at the way, what that will mean in Hausa. We pronounce it to communicate with the patient that was treating, and they will correct him, say, no, you should call this way. So by that, he was interacting with them, and also, won a lot of souls. His son, one of his sons that went with him, later was, became a medical doctor, and that one also joined him in the ministry, and things were really moving on there. Now, in the northern parts of the country, the Kakwe was a very important figure when it comes to Adventism in the northern parts. Around that Jengri, the Kakwe was, the man himself was the first ordained minister, the first convert and the first ordained minister. And his siblings, there are about 4 or 5, or maybe at a time when it's returned to present it on the, maybe you see the photograph, so Simon Lamba Kakwe, he was the first convert and was the first ordained minister. And then his siblings, about 4 of them. 3 of them were pastors. The other one was a lay preacher, in that land. So with that, the work was also coming up. The natives were joining hand with the missionaries until they finally left. Cameroon Union is another one that I will consider here. The man that took Adventist message to Cameroon was said to be from northern Nigeria. Maybe part of those that were working with J.J. Hyde there. His name was Patron of Reuben Bactron. That was the name, himself and his wife. They got to that place, and then they started preaching the gospel in a place called Dogba. It was not really easy for him. The same territorial agreement also affected him before he was able to locate or get a place where he located and started his own work. The work was also extending, from time to time. A very important figure in Cameroon there was a man they called Ekitike, a pastor.